Good Friday morning. How are you this morning, folks? I am excited. You know why I'm excited? Because this last week in professional wrestling has been absolutely off the charts. I mean, we've had a couple stinkers here and there, and that was mostly Monday night. However, we've had, there was an excellent women's match for the women's championship on Impact between Jordynne Grace and her opponent, the lady they formerly in WWE as Deonna Purrazzo. Those guys, those girls had one excellent scientific encounter. If you haven't yet, check it out. Anybody that's down on Impact because of anything from the past, they're a whole different company now. I would absolutely recommend checking them out, giving them a try. There's no fans in attendance. And I know some of you are going to joke about how, in the old TNA, there was no fans in attendance, but this place has picked itself up a lot from taking it from a guy who spent a lot of hours in the Impact Zone. I know what's good and what's not good, and this reminds me of the original TNA back when. But give Impact Wrestling a try, folks. Make sure, just give it a try without, even if you've been, you were completely over anything related to TNA. Don't think of it going in as TNA. Think of it as Impact Wrestling. It was incredible this past week. It's been incredible basically since Slammiversary. It's a whole new world out there. Speaking about no fans, that's not anything like what we saw tonight at AEW. It's not like anything we saw in WWE at the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome, you had your digital fans there watching from at home. But tonight, live in Jacksonville, Florida, we had 10% capacity fans in the attendance, so that would mean that probably around 500 to 550 people in attendance, as the venue does hold around 5,500 people. And we're looking for even more Saturday, September 5th. We're looking, I'm assuming if everything went well tonight, Tony Khan's going to look into bringing in 15% capacity for the pay-per-view All Out, and that would put about 1,000 Rabbit fans inside of the venue in Jacksonville. Tonight started out, I think, pretty darn hot, considering Chris Jericho came out to start the event, to join the commentary team of Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross for the night. This is the first time that since March that he has come out where there are fans there singing his theme, and boy oh boy, they didn't miss a lyric, they didn't miss a beat, they didn't miss a step. The fans are back, and to me this is a big deal. Being a pro wrestler myself, I know what it's like performing in front of 2, 3, 4,000 people, and I know what it's like to perform in front of 5 people. I have never performed in front of 0 people before at 100%. So I will tell you right now, that must have been hard on the wrestlers. They were probably getting used to it by now, knowing that there were still 1 million people plus watching at home around the world. However, I think that having these fans in attendance tonight probably really boosted everybody's energy, and you could see it on Jericho's face when the fans were cheering for him. There was 500 people in the venue, and it sounded like the place had, basically half a sellout there. It was very loud, and come this September 5th at All Out, I'm expecting an even, like I said, bigger crowd, which is going to sound even better. So, I think these guys have been busting their ass through the pandemic era. Every time they went out there, whether they felt there's nobody here, blah blah blah. These guys have been putting in their everything at AEW every single week, and the same goes for WWE. The same goes for Impact Wrestling. But what I'm saying is there's this special feeling when you watch AEW, and it's not just the talent, it's not just the matches, it's just not the storylines, it's the fans, I feel, that bring a lot back, bring a lot to the table at AEW, because these are the kind of fans that I grew up. It's like an ECW fan base and an Attitude Era WWF fan base. WCW was always different, I guess. They were rabid and stuff like that in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and those were hot. I think WCW basically in the mid-90s weren't excellent, but no wrestling at that point was really excellent until ECW came along, and then ECW really raised that standard of, like, let's not dumb down these fans. Let's make these fans feel like they're part of the show, and let's not make them feel stupid and insult their intelligence, if you know what I mean. Okay, so the show started tonight. AEW Dynamite TNT started at 8 o'clock tonight, and we started with a gauntlet tag team match where the winning team would square off on September 5th at All Out against AEW World Tag Team Champions Hangman Adam Page and his tag team partner Kenny Omega. The 4 teams that were involved here were the Natural Nightmares, FTR, the Young Bucks, and the Best Friends. The first match was currently already in the ring, the same way that a Joey Maggs or a Barry Horowitz were back in the day. No entrances for these guys live on TV, but it was the Young Bucks and the Natural Nightmares starting things off. First and foremost, I want to say huge props to a good friend of mine, QT Marshall, a guy that I've known for a long time. I call him QT Marshall every time now just because I laugh when Taz calls him that on Dark and Dynamite and things like that. He just makes me laugh by saying Marshall. I don't know. I've always called him QT Marshall. I don't know if this Marshall is the new thing, if that's the way you say it, but either way, QT had a hell of an outing. Dustin being able to do the stuff he does nowadays, like he was 25 years old, is incredible to me, and a very inspirational story there. You know, he always says, keep stepping. Well, absolutely keep stepping. And that guy was stepping about 100 miles an hour, being able to keep up with Nick and Matt, the Jacksons. And same thing with QT, like I said, what an outing being able to do. I mean, the stuff they're doing, I've seen QT grow from, when he first started in the business, coming out of the Dudley School. We did a lot of shows together in Florida, and he was always very, very good. Very, very good. And besides being a total pro, his in-ring ability has even went above and beyond. So, very happy for QT, and this was a very good opening matchup. That was a match that was won by the Young Bucks, which means the third team of the Gauntlet match would be coming out next, and they did, and it was the Best Friends. The Best Friends came out there, and great match like you would expect between Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta against the Young Bucks. I think they might have done it one or two other times, whether it be on Dynamite or Dark or something. But this right here was a great match, and it ended very strange when the cowboy there, whatever his name, Jesus, Hangman Adam Page. I almost called him James Storm for a minute. See, talking about Impact earlier, now I try to throw in some old Impact knowledge, and my AEW knowledge goes. So, anyhow, yes, it was Hangman Adam Page as the Young Bucks set up for their front flip tombstone finish. Whichever, I think it was Nick in the ring, got rolled up, and outside by one of by one of the Young Bucks. Jesus, not the Young Bucks, but what? Wrestling with ADHD, folks. Welcome again. No, actually, what it was is he got rolled up by one of the Best Friends. Hangman Adam Page had the leg of Matt Jackson on the floor, or Nick Jackson on the floor, on the apron, wouldn't let him in the ring, so there's the 1, 2, 3, Best Friends advance. The Bucks are staring down, obviously Adam Page. They don't know why the hell he's doing this. These guys are supposed to be friends. They're elite together. They've been, they're being the elite. These are guys that have been friends a long time. I know they've been, before the pandemic started, they were teasing the whole turn, what was going to happen with those guys, along with Kenny Omega, and it turned out, or they seemed like they had patched everything up, but the look on Adam Page's face is his eyes were in a different place. He didn't look like he was completely with us. So, it kind of left a cliffhanger on what the hell just happened here. Moving forward, the Best Friends now would have to square off against FTR in the finals of the Gauntlet match, and the winners will take on Adam Page and Kenny Omega come September 5th at All Out. Very good wrestling match, pure wrestling match. It was slowed down the Best Friends from the previous match. It ended up at the end, FTR, there was a submission hold put on by Dax Harwood, and he ended up tapping out one of the two Young Bucks, or excuse me, one of the two Best Friends. I'm not sure which one it was. It slips my mind. However, it now solidifies that along with Tully leading the charge, FTR will square off against Hangman, Adam Page, and Kenny Omega September 5th at All Out. So there's your tag team title match for the big pay-per-view. It's going to be pretty good. After the Young Bucks and Adam Page and Omega had wrestled at Revolution, I expected this was going to be the rematch from Revolution, just because I got a 6-star Dave Meltzer review. So I figured that might end up being what the match is going to turn out to be, but this is a little different. I like the way they're going with it. Predicting, after the pay-per-view, FTR will be walking out tag champs, and then we'll set something up, most likely with the Young Bucks for the tag titles. Because, this company's been a year now. In October, it'll be a year they've been open for television, to a live, national audience. So I feel that it's about time maybe the Young Bucks end up as the champions. I don't know, but they're considered the best tag team in the world. But if they're the best tag team in the world, why are they not the AEW tag team champions? If I'm going to rate this, I'm going to rate this match an A for an opening match, because it was hot, heavy, it delivered everything. The speed, the agility, the work ethic of all these guys is what you want in an opener, unless you're going on second, and then you really don't want that as an opener, because shit, you got to follow it. It's okay, we brought it down a little bit the next time, but still we're able to elevate Lance Archer. He's been angry. He's been getting a lot of wins against enhancement talent, like he did last night against Sean Maluta. Sean Maluta is a prodigy of the Wild Samoans and WXW out of Florida. I've known Maluta for a lot of years as well. He's a good talent. He's a good hand. He's definitely somebody that you want to bring in to be able to, use as a guy, because, sometimes they bring these guys in and you're like, who the hell are they beating? And it's not really a big deal. However, Maluta being a prodigy and coming and being family with the Samoans, the Roman Reigns, the Rocks, off of the Sika, these kind of guys, this is automatically, you're beating someone from a dynasty of a family. So, Archer came out, Jake was out there with them. Lance Archer basically just beat the crap out of Sean Maluta. He defeated him, and then I guess it was interesting to see that the renewed emphasis on Archer after he essentially became, an afterthought, since I guess since his Double or Nothing loss to Cody. Everything seemed like, he had taken a backtrack and nobody cared, so it seemed like this was bringing him back out. I know we've seen him be beating up people in the locker room and things of that nature, throwing people through the roof, which is entertaining as all hell, but I think this is more of like a retribution of sorts for Lance Archer. This right here, at this point, Jake got on the mic and started talking about how Archer will win the Casino Battle Royal at All Out. And then it went from there. You heard some music that I didn't recognize, because it didn't start the same way that it has been. But it was Team Taz, which is Brian Cage and Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. So they and Taz all came out. They had a little back and forth between Jake and Lance Archer. After that, you see Darby Allin coming out, and it got into a brawl with Darby Allin and Ricky Starks, and they ended up. Ricky Starks lost his shoes in the whole situation, so it was good. I liked it because and I'm gonna give it a B plus, because it was a hard match, a hard place on the card to follow, considering they had to follow that incredible gauntlet match to start the night. But it still got the point. It got Archer over, and these other guys it got over as well, and it really promoted the Battle Royale, the Casino Battle Royale at at All Out. And that's something that a lot of times in WWE you don't see them really elevating any kind of story with the undercard matches. But this Battle Royale is usually first. It's usually a buy-in. It's where people end up purchasing the pay-per-view, because if they've never seen AEW and they end up seeing this and like, wow, that was pretty good, let's order the pay-per-view. Very smart. very smart to really push this Battle Royal, and I think the winner of the Casino Battle Royal, it gets a future championship match somewhere down the line. So it's similar to Money in the Bank in WWE, but without like being able to cash it in just at any time. It just guarantees you a shot at the world title somewhere down the line. Okay, so went to a commercial, came back, and it was all set for the MJF and Jon Moxley contract signing for their big match coming up at All Out for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was mentioned that MJF is still undefeated. He's never been pinned in singles action. I know he was pinned in a tag match, but as for his single record, he is undefeated. He came out with his whole, his whole army of people. As we're, going MJF 2020, he was really playing up the injury from the week before, 2 weeks before, when Moxley jumped him from behind. His lawyer had obviously put out a thing saying that he cannot at all, he is not allowed to use the paradigm shift, meaning Jon Moxley, which formerly in WWE, for people that don't know, it's the dirty deeds. So he's no double arm DDT at the end of the day. So he's not allowed to use that move according to this contract written up by the attorney of MJF, who, by the way, I don't know if he was a wrestler before. I'm assuming so because of where this segment went. But this guy is a hell of a talker. He's good on the mic. He's absolutely a stick man for sure. So I feel like he might have wrestled before. He looks like he's in his mid-40s, but they could have made him up to look like that. He could be a worker right now in his late 20s. Who the hell knows? The magic of television. MJF went through and spoke as only MJF can speak. He hit every cue. He was able to communicate with the fans, which he hasn't been able to do in months because of the pandemic. I think it was an absolute awesome promo by MJF, but I never think otherwise. The guy's gold. He does exactly what a pro wrestling heel should do. If you look up pro wrestling heel in the dictionary, there should be a picture of MJF because he does everything by the book of heels. He's awesome. And so his promo happened, and Moxley got in a few digs, which I thought was really good. He said he doesn't need a paradigm shift to win at all. He was able to get the contract over to him. He signed it. As soon as he ended up signing it, the lawyer and MJF were like, "Oh, you're so stupid. You never read what you were supposed to read. Don't you ever learn that you have to read something before you sign it?" And then Moxley's like, "Oh, something about page 17. At that point, MJF is like, and the lawyer both said, "There's only 16 pages. He's like, "Oh, you might want to check that out." Checked it out. What it does is it sets up for next week, which is going to be Wednesday night again. Wednesday night Dynamite next week, back to this normal time slot, at least for that week. We're going to see Jon Moxley squaring off against MJF's lawyer. So that's why I believe this guy probably was a wrestler somewhere, sometime, somehow, even now, who knows. But that looks to be good. It's 1 week to get to the pay-per-view after that. So this is going to give that last-minute go-home feeling for this heavyweight championship match. I feel it's been built perfect. I think AEW's been, the world title picture has been perfect. Has been booked perfect like all year, without a doubt. I think it was a good twist at the end. Nobody expected it to be where he'd have to go after the lawyer and get a match with him. It didn't make Moxley look stupid. It actually made him look smart, and that's what you want to do. You gotta make that baby face every time, outsmart the bad guy, because wrestling 101. After that, we had an 8-man tag team match. It was Eddie Kingston's group, which consists of obviously himself, the Lucha Brothers, and the Butcher and the Blade. And what happened there was they had it was another currently in the ring scenario, but they went and they had a multiple man tag team match against Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, Brian Pillman, and Griff Garrison. 8-man tag. It was hot, back and forth. I think this new idea with the Butcher and the Blade and teaming up with the Lucha Brothers, teaming up with Eddie Kingston is a great idea. They obviously had to shuffle some stuff up because soon after the Death Triangle were created, which was the Lucha Brothers along with Pac. They had to do something because Pac can't make it over to our country again until this whole thing is over with. So, instead of just having the Luchas do a tag team, they're all underneath Eddie Kingston. What's Eddie Kingston's ultimate goal? What's his end game? We don't know that yet. But I do feel like on the way to that end game, these guys are going to stack up a ton of bodies. And it started tonight when they defeated Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman, Sonny Kiss, and Joey Janela. Fun match back and forth. Very entertaining. All the guys can go. That's without a doubt. So if I were to rate that match, I'd put it there at a B+ as well because it fit right where it was supposed to. It was basically popcorn. It was basically popcorn style match. It was coming straight off of a contract signing, which would be like maybe an intermission type spot on an independent show. So basically popcorn. You got to get the people back hyped again. Even though obviously MJF and Moxley and the lawyer, they did their job, and they got the people interested into that main event and brought in for 2 weeks leading into the big pay-per-view. I think it's always a hard place to come off something more serious, and then you got to come and bring those people back up, and they did that in that 8-man tag team match. I think that was very good. I don't know, Katie and I were talking, we're not sure if Brian Pillman has signed with AEW yet. He did take the pin tonight, so I'm thinking he was the only I don't know if they signed Griff Garrison either, but I knew one of those two were going to take the pin, and it was Brian Pillman, so I feel maybe they haven't signed him quite yet if he hasn't been able to get out of his deal with MLW or what's going on. But, I mean, you do see right now that the AEW is working with the NWA. I heard Billy Corgan's voice tonight from the Smashing Pumpkins talking on AEW, and he is, of course, the owner of NWA, for that one and done match that we think so far between Hiroshi Shida and the NWA champion. What's her name, babe? NWA champion woman. Thunder Rosa. See, she knows it. I know it, and my brain just goes black. And I put her on the spot right there, and she hit it good. So that's what matters. Okay, went to a commercial, came back. We ended up having this is a segment with the Dark Order. As of last week, Mr. Brody Lee was able to take the TNT Heavyweight Championship off of Cody after Cody actually had, I think, an awesome title reign, defending that title nearly every single week on Dynamite. And, Cody carried that title great, and it really elevated that championship. And then last week, Brody was, he was on a tear. He came out, and it was a different Brody Lee. It was a more intense Brody Lee. It was a pissed off Brody Lee. He doesn't want the Dark Order losing. He wants the Dark Order to, be on top. That's what they're there for. They're taking losers and making them winners. And right there, it was shown to us that Brody Lee is definitely a winner. And he said the Open Series challenge is dead, and Cody's never going to regain that title. He then ordered the Dark Order, and he silenced them, and he introduced Anna Jay, who ended up last week choking out Brandy Rhodes when she was over top of her husband, protecting him, the whole Stand By Your Man deal. She was doing that, but then Anna Jay, snap of the fingers by Brody, was given the shot to go and do what she had to do, and she ended up choking out Brandy Rhodes, who was not there tonight. Neither was Cody. We know, I've been reading some stuff, and it makes perfect sense. Cody's taking some time off of TV. He's really selling this injury, and he needs to sell this injury because it was devastating. And if he were to just come back, 6 days, 5 days later, and he's fine, then he's not doing, he's not selling it, you know what I mean? So at that point, so, she stood over top, and at that point, Anna Jay was introduced as the newest member of the family, number 99, and she's known as the Queen Slayer. And then Brody Lee, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Being the Elite at all, but they do a lot of stuff with the Dark Order on there, and it's entertaining as hell. I'm a big fan of John Silver. I think he's funny as shit. And he's so stupid, he's funny, and I enjoy that. John Silver was overzealous, super excited. He was like telling Brody, "You're the man, you're the man, you're the man." That's when Brody Lee ended up slapping him, and said, at that point, he said, what the heck? It was Silver yelling that nobody could touch him. He's the great, talking about Brody being the greatest. Nobody could touch him. Slapped him across the face, took him down. At that point, the Natural Nightmares made their way to the ring. Dustin and QT, they got beaten down. Dismissed really early, unceremoniously, by the Dark Order. So I feel, and then out of nowhere, Scorpio Sky comes out, and he just took out the Dark Order one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Big Lion took player Uno over the top rope, and that's how that went. And he ended up sending the Dark Order packing, and so they had us. They were teasing things that what's his name? Scorpio Sky. I again wanted to call him Too Cold Scorpio. This is how my brain works, guys. I think we've been over this. People that have been following my channel, following our channel for anything that's related to wrestling, following the podcast, knows that the ADHD goes crazy. And when you got two of us in one place, good morning, Irene. Anyhow, I thought Scorpio Sky was going, they were moving towards a heel direction, but then he came out and he ended up going after the Dark Order. This is what I love, and I was telling Katie, I love this about AEW. It's so new and it's so fresh, and we can't predict what's going to happen all the time. Like with WWE, it's built in. I mean, I've been watching it since I was 2 years old. She's been watching it for 2 years, and she's already able to catch on to what's going to happen and how it's going to play out, because WWE is 50-50 predictable booking, clearly. And just being a fan for so many years, doing spots and shows with them, I've always been a WWE guy. I was a WWE guy when I was a kid, but I was also a WCW guy. I was a wrestling guy. Now, when I look at it at the end of the day, it's like a reverse role, and AEW is the cool, hip thing, and WWE is on a repetitive train where they just keep repeating the same shit over and over again. All right. Ended up, at this point, I believe it went to a commercial break, and then we came back, and we knew that it was going to be 3-on-1, but Britt Baker was still in her wheelchair, still had her clear broken nose mask, and she was sitting in the wheelchair while Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian and Reba were in the wrestling gear, so you knew it was going to be down to basically a 2-on-1 match against Big Swole. I don't want to say much about this match itself. It wasn't awful. Rebel hasn't been in the ring in a very long time, and Rebel's a very nice person. I know her well. We used to work together in Arcadian Wrestling in Tennessee. She also worked a show for me, Fight for the Mind, too. And she's never been the best wrestler, but she's an entertaining character when she's with Britt Baker. They play off each other very well, being friends in real life. Plus, she's a hell of a makeup design artist, so she's able to help in AEW. I think that's her actual title in AEW. But then they thought, hey, why not fit her into this storyline? I don't know for sure, but I think that's how the whole thing went. So she's not that great, and I feel bad because I think it's not fair to compare her to the other girls or anyone else on the roster, because they've been doing this Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday after Thursday after Wednesday after Friday after Saturday after Wednesday. They've really been able to own their craft and be able to adapt to wrestling on a weekly basis, and I think besides the one time Rebel worked in AEW, when was the last time she worked? And the last time she worked with a major wrestling company, that was for Impact Wrestling back when. And we know that didn't go over so well. I think she's, once she gets the handle on it and gets the feeling back and feels comfortable in the ring, things will go smoother, because as of right now, she kind of, it looks like she's wrestling in slow motion. Like, everything she does looks like you're hitting, like on a VHS tape, you're hitting pause over and over again just to see it in parts. Like the moonsault, and I don't know if it was a superplex beforehand, but either way, the point of this match was to get Big Swole a win going in 2 weeks on September 5th for All Out, where she will finally be able to get her hands on Dr. Britt Baker. They will finally have that match, as I know that Britt Baker is going to be cleared to wrestle right before All Out. So that'll be good. They've been building it, I think, wonderfully, considering one of the participants isn't able to wrestle, but because of the injury. But she's so good. Britt Baker is so good at just being a miserable, annoying twat. And that's what's selling this story. And Big Swole legitimately looks like a tough person, somebody that will kick the shit out of Britt Baker. But in the same token, we know that Britt Baker is very, very intelligent. She is the girlfriend of Adam Cole, so she does have secrets up her sleeve. So I'm looking forward to that match coming up on September 5th out at All Out. Okay. And the other thing I was going to say, I feel that match, I wasn't happy ahead of time, because I'm like, Penelope Ford's been winning heavily as singles heel, and she's been doing good. And then now I knew they were gonna lose, obviously, because it was building to Britt Baker and Big Swole at the pay-per-view. So I didn't understand why there were so many other girls they could have put in there where it didn't have to be Penelope. But when it was over and the 3 count happened, I can't say that they did it the worst way. They probably did, by having her in there, they should have just had her not get pinned. But with her getting pinned, it was the best way they could have done it. The best way they could have done it, by a flop up right there when Reba hit her in the head with the crutch. So either way, that I didn't understand that booking wholeheartedly, but again, it got to what it's going to be, and hopefully it didn't affect Penelope at all. We shall hope, because we want to continue to build all these characters, not, bring them down like WWE. When, that's all they do. So let's build these stars up and make sure that people will forget that happened, and she'll still have a strong singles push. All right, so at this point, we go ahead and it's main event time, which is a tables match with Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. We all know that Matt Hardy got his head split open a few weeks ago on Dynamite when Sammy threw a chair at him. I'm not going to get in the behind-the-scenes stuff, because, that's neither here nor there. He busted him open, and he bled like a stuck pig all over the place, and now Matt has, he's going in between personalities, freaking out, and he said he's not going to end it until